Hello. Wow. All right. So hopefully this is working. It says we're live. Um, Everything should be fine, but there has just been nonstop issues today with YouTube. For me personally, Mike said he had some issues too. So, and I noticed there's nobody really here yet. We'll give it some time for stuff to go out. Um, but you know what? I'm not going to do my normal spiel because it says there's only like 3 people here. So we'll just jump into it. And Bunny Viper, hi. Steven, hi. Paul, I've been missing you. I talked about you today. Didn't get a notification. Yeah, because there was a lot of problems today. All right, people are starting to trickle in. There's Brother Dan and Skydancer and Jenna and Vibes. Oinky Oink and Skipper. Hey, Skipper. What's up, buddy? Okay, so I guess I will do the normal spiel. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. So the whole first half of the show here, Mike and I were just going to have a conversation. We'll open it up to you guys at the second half to ask questions to Mike, and if you got any comments or anything, hold off till then. Yeah, that's about it. I'm like all discombobulated here because I had a stream set up, and for some reason it was showing private to certain people, but I couldn't change settings on it, and just all kinds of crazy stuff with it. So. And right now, I'm sort of killing time, hoping people come in before we jump in, Mike. So
okay, sounds good.
Once we get up to like 25 people or so, then we'll start going. Thanks again for joining me. I'm sorry it took so long. You are definitely somebody that I've wanted to interview for a very long time.
Not a problem. Looking forward to it.
And again, for anybody who doesn't know, Mods will be dropping Mike's link to his channel there. Mike's been doing this for quite a while. He's got some really good videos. He's got a ton of different types of fish, and he really does have a fish tank barn. It's an actual barn and 2 floors and just all kinds of tanks. How many tanks altogether in there?
My guess right now, I haven't counted, is probably around 80. I've been kind of downsizing a little bit, and I think that will continue in the future. But
Gotcha.
Definitely been something, getting it to maybe a little bit more manageable level.
Gotcha. Excuse me. It is a very cool building, though, and I love when you show us around inside. Okay, well, we got enough people in here, so let's go ahead and jump in. Again, my guest, Mike from the Fish Tank Barn. There's John McKenzie, just dropped his link there. And with that, I am going to go ahead and close the chat so I don't get pay attention to it instead of Mike. So let's see, Mike, you live in Michigan, right?
Correct.
Not too far from Detroit.
We're about 30 minutes north. So
okay, beautiful area up there. So you're probably halfway between Detroit and the UP, right?
No, between Detroit and Flint. So basically, kind of halfway, so half an hour to Flint, half an hour to Detroit. So.
Okay. I just had some Detroit style pizza, which I didn't even know was a thing.
There's a company here called Buddies that kind of introduced it, but it's now the companies have picked it up, like Little Caesars, Pizza Hut, and sort of they picked that up, and it's kind of become a thing.
So it's sort of like Chicago style, but it's square.
It's square, but not as thick. Like Chicago style is really thick. You get like the layer of sausage and then the layer of cheese, and it's really, really. But Detroit's a little bit different. It's like it's thick, but it's not as thick. And then it's got like the crusty layer of crust all around it. It's always square. At least all the ones I've seen have been always square.
Yeah. And it's pretty good. I don't know what the brand was. It was just a frozen pizza, but out of frozen pizzas, it's one of my favorites. So anyways, okay. So, and Michigan born and raised, or is that?
Yep. I grew up basically I was born in Lansing, Michigan, which is kind of the center of the state.
Yeah.
My dad moved around for work for a while. So we moved to, when I was real little, I don't remember most of this, but like Ohio, Indiana, ended up in Holland, Michigan for a while. And then we moved to Champaign, Illinois for a time. And then I moved in 4th grade to a town called Eaton Rapids, where I grew up. It's between basically Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson, Michigan. So everyone in Michigan does the thumb. Eaton Rapids is about there-ish.
Gotcha. And I grew up in northern Indiana, so I didn't grow up. I left there when I was 12. But I do remember going to the southern parts like Niles and
Yep.
Kalamazoo and what's the Deer Park? Is that what's it? No,
Oh, there's like Paw Paw, like all those places, like Battle Creek,
Battle Creek.
St. Joseph.
Is there a place? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's probably not there anymore. We're talking about the '60s and '70s, early '70s. It was like a nature preserve or something in southern Michigan, and it was like Deer Park or something like that.
It
Maybe that
could
was the
be.
name.
It could be.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Doesn't ring a bell to me though. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Like once you get out of like the Metro Detroit area, that really there's a lot of nature here. Like especially if you go up north. I don't think a lot of people think of Michigan as Detroit, and it's really a lot more than that.
Oh yeah. Personally, I don't even think of Detroit as Michigan so much because I do. I had a girlfriend back in the day from the UP, and she used to tell me about Iron Mountain and what else is right there? Marquette, I think, and a whole bunch of places. And the picture she showed me, the place is beautiful. It is a beautiful, beautiful state. It really is.
It is, and it's funny is you can drive. I can drive almost to Atlanta in the same amount of time that I can drive from here to the UP.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. It's that far up, and because you have to go across the Mackinac Bridge, right?
The bridge, and then I feel like you go back in time when you go across the bridge. No disrespect to anyone, but I feel like you go back in time about 20 years when you go over the bridge, because you have Mackinac City on one side and then St. Ignace on the other. And once you hit St. Ignace, it feels like you've entered a different world.
Now,
it's interesting.
Is there an island there too where no cars?
Yes.
What island is that?
It's called Mackinac Island. It's kind of like a very touristy. You've got shops, and you have this called the Grand Hotel, which is like the largest balcony in the United States or the world. And you can go, you can stay there. You can take a ferry to it. It's very touristy, but it's nice to go to. We took the kids one year. But yeah, it's an interesting place. It's very old school. There's British forts. There's an old U.S. fort there from like the War of 1812, and you can go visit that. They do like little shows and stuff like that. It's it's really touristy.
Gotcha. Yeah, we have those around here too. A lot of places. Because the Great Lakes were the scenes of a lot of different naval battles and stuff, which people they don't remember or don't pay attention to.
Right.
We also, Fort Ticonderoga isn't that far away, and so a lot of that kind of history too. So a lot in common between the states, I think. But so,
Absolutely.
Have you thought about living other places? Have you traveled much other than as a kid?
Yeah. So I went to college at the University of Michigan. We can talk later about how that happened. That's an interesting story, actually.
Okay.
But I lived in England, actually. We were talking about the World Cup earlier. 1998. I'm going to date myself here. We went to. I lived in England for 6 months after I graduated from college.
Cool.
And it happened to be during the 1998 World Cup, which was the last time the U.S. played Iran. It actually was in a pub in London when that happened, and we got beat, and it was. They all made fun of us, how bad we were and all this other stuff. But yeah, no, I mean, so the World Cup has a near and dear place in my heart. I sort of fell in love with soccer at that time. And I played soccer for a lot of years afterwards. I played until I was in my mid 30s or so. And I kind of fell in love with this. I played it in like intramural, like in college a little bit, but then I really fell in love with it when I went to England and saw the World Cup. And I actually went to a few English Premier League games before I left. And so I don't watch a lot of it now, because it's just time. I'm not going to, spend the time unless it's like the World Cup.
Yeah.
But like now it's been like I've had it on like when I've been working in the background and stuff. Excuse me. I've been fighting a little bit of a cold thing. I'm almost over it, but sorry if my voice is a little bad.
No problem. I'm in the same boat all the time. So you really don't have a favorite team?
I lived in Chelsea, which is it's kind of a weird story. That's a weird story too. I lived in Chelsea, which is like the very posh area of London, but I lived in something called the council estate, which is basically like the projects.
Yeah.
So it was they put this big building. It was kind of like living in a frat house. Honestly, it was. I never felt unsafe there, but it was it was just a weird situation. People would tell us like, don't say you live there, and the place was bugged because like we would talk about it, and then the guy would show up who was our landlord and like knew too many things, right? And so it was interesting.
Gotcha.
So
And was it mostly Americans in the building, or was it just?
it was mostly Brits. This guy like rented this apartment out to it was kind of like two people, one person got a couch, one person got another couch, another,
Yeah.
and then there was like a bedroom. It was really like, I mean, something I don't want to repeat ever, but
Yeah,
it was
but
fine.
I'm sure you have a lot of fond memories, though. I've lived like that too. Not in any place nice, but
It
I've
wasn't
definitely
nice.
lived like that.
But, I mean, Chelsea was nice, but the place was not nice at all.
I have to look at that. I'm sorry. I said I wasn't going to look at the chat, but I don't want those to go away. So, Peplin, thank you very much. Member for a year now, and he says, Mike, bring back the stream, please. And I don't want those to go away, so I will be looking into the chat for those. And we'll talk about that a little bit too. We'll get into that about
Absolutely.
your streaming and stuff. So, but yeah, I live like that too. Basically, living on a couch on in a friend's. There was actually like 7 of us that lived in this one house right next to ASU, and it was just parties all the time, just constant. So
Yeah, there was no parties. It was kind of low key, actually. It was kind of the people were kind of low key, which was good. Because I worked at Merrill Lynch. I got an internship through like this program. I showed up with $1,400, a suitcase, and a dream basically to London, and I found an internship through this program, and so I ended up working at Merrill Lynch, actually like behind Buckingham Palace.
oh wow.
So it was it was a very interesting time.
So you didn't have a job when you went over there.
No,
You
I
had
just
no.
showed up. The goal was you went over there, found a job, and had enough money to survive on until you found a job.
And what made you want to do that? What made you just to see something different?
I had someone I knew in college, and I'd gone over to visit her the summer before, and I had kind of decided to do this program. And my parents had actually lived overseas before I was born. My dad was drafted into the army during the Vietnam War, and he actually ended up living in Germany with my mom for a few years. And so I kind of had that background. And so we went and so I was kind of like, yeah, I'll go live in Europe for 6 months and figure it out. And
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was a lot of fun. And it was
I
weird. I
wish.
made a point not to hang out with Americans when I was there either. I made a Scottish friend. I know Ed was talking. I don't know if Ed's in here now, but he was talking about the difference, with Scotland and Wales, and like why are they playing like those? They consider themselves a country. Like
Yeah.
like they're not a state. Like if you said that to one of them, they would be not good. I think a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say. I wish more people
Excuse me.
had that ability to do that, to be able to go over there, because everybody that that I know who had done that when they were young just had a better worldview, it seems like, than people that have never left their neighborhoods. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'm saying generally speaking.
Yeah, even though we speak the same language, like England's very different
Yeah.
than the United States. I felt it was more open in a way, even though I mean, like London, I guess it's living in a big city too. Is like it was very much a melting pot of all the different people, right? You've got we went the first World Cup match I watched. I had a friend who was Scottish, and we went to watch the Scotland Brazil match, and you would think the pub would be full of people in kilts and blue flags and the whole thing, and it was literally half Brazilians and half Scottish people. The Brazilians, if you know anything about soccer, the Brazilians kind of flop around. And then you have the Scottish guys yelling at them to get up because they're weak and they're soft, and it was kind of an interesting dynamic, right?
Yeah.
They had there's some Scottish defender guy who's named Braveheart, like had the long red hair, and it was funny.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
I have Scottish ancestors, so it's weird how Americans are so proud of our ancestors, like no place else. No place else is that focused
Right.
on them like us. I'm Scottish Italian. No, you're American. That's all.
I think I'm a mutt. I'm just a mutt. I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of English, but I think I'm a mutt.
So you lived over there for just the 6 months?
This is 6 months. That's all my visa was. I actually wanted to stay longer,
that's
but
right.
I couldn't work it out. Between like I couldn't make enough money to make it work, and then you have to get visas and
Yeah.
get sponsored by the company and all this other.
Yeah.
So I ended up coming back here. I actually went back to the small town I grew up in, which was a bit of a culture shock for a while.
How
And
big was that town too, roughly, people-wise, population?
4,000 people.
Okay, yeah. So
My
pretty small.
graduating class was 147 people. Town I think it still has 3 stoplights. My parents have since moved from there, but there's literally 3 stoplights in the entire town.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where we live now. We live in that kind of area.
Yeah.
And England is much easier going about that because my son-in-law can only stay here for 90 days. He's still working on his citizenship. He's English. But he can only stay here for 90 days and he has to go back home. And he can go back home for one day. He has to step foot. He doesn't have to leave. He doesn't have to go home. He has to leave the country and then he can turn around, come right back. He can leave the country for one day and then renew it and come right back. But it's
So
very
he goes
strange.
to Canada for one day and then he comes back.
He could, yeah, he could, but he doesn't usually. He usually goes back home and he makes some more money and then he comes back over. And soon not this time, but next time he comes back will hopefully be his last, and he'll be here to stay. So it's been going on for years, and they're married. They're actually married. They got married in the UK, so it should be a lot easier. But he's trying to follow all the right stuff. He doesn't want anything to get messed up.
Right.
And, he's trying to do everything right. So
I found the UK to be very interesting in some of the rules, though. Like it's a little bit, that part was a little bit tighter. Like, I said it was open earlier. Like I had to get a bank account. I had to have like Merrill Lynch actually sponsor me to go get a bank account.
really,
I don't know if it's that way now. This was 20 years ago.
yeah,
No, over 20 years ago. So, and I didn't have a gas bill, and apparently in the UK, your gas bill is the key to life. Like if you don't have a gas bill, you can't get like a Blockbuster card at the time. Now we're just really dating ourselves. Like Tom Cruise got denied a Blockbuster card because he didn't have a gas bill. Like, they were serious about it. Like it was that and the TV license, which is something here that's unheard of. You had to have a license for the TV.
yeah.
And I remember when I moved into the place I lived at, the guy was like, he was very serious about it. He's like, the license for the TV is in this drawer right here. And apparently they had like trucks that could scan around and stuff like that. I don't know how that all, this is, like I said, it's been a while, but that could kind of scan if you had an unlicensed TV.
That's weird. That is weird. But they also don't have the advertising that we have either. So there's
Right.
there's some playoff there, And I don't think the licensing is very expensive. I think it's pretty cheap.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it was just the fact that you had to have one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It is different.
It was very
All right.
different.
So you've lived in the UK, and I know you've traveled quite a bit in the United States because you've gone to so many of the Aquashellas and things like that. Is there any place in the United States that you ever think about maybe moving to at some point? Are you happy in Michigan? Or?
I'm pretty happy in Michigan. I like Michigan, and I kind of like this area. I like it's close to a lot of things. It's not very far to drive to a lot of places. Like Tennessee is 8 hours, for example. Kentucky was 6. Chicago's 5. Cleveland's 3. There's a lot of, you can get to a lot of places from here. So,
gotcha. So it's home.
It's home basically, and like I don't mind going to other places, but we've kind of settled here, and kind of I think we'll just kind of end up staying here.
Yeah. All your family still lives there?
I have a sister in Indiana, and my brother-in-law is actually in Atlanta.
Okay.
But other than that, my parents still live in the Lansing area, and my wife's parents are about 10 minutes up the road or so.
Is that good or bad?
That's fine. No, I mean they're good. They're very good people. They've been very good to us over the years. So
okay,
no complaints.
We I have in-laws too, and then we actually moved across country to get away from not just them but all the family. So
no, they come over and holidays and stuff, like they're not here like all the time. My father-in-law and mother-in-law are not. They're not sitting upstairs right now, right?
Yeah. And how long have you been married?
It's been 2004, 18 years.
Okay.
Yeah, about 18 years. Yep.
And I know you have what, 2 kids?
2 daughters.
2 daughters. Yes.
So one is a sophomore in high school, and the other one is a 7th grader.
And they're heavily involved in one sport. I remember you posted something.
My oldest one plays volleyball.
Okay.
So I've kind of gotten into volleyball too. My daughter actually says I'm obsessed because I like to go on YouTube now and I'll watch like old games and stuff like that. I really wanted to learn the sport. Like, if she really got serious last year, and so I really wanted to learn. Like, I couldn't be the parent that just said, "Oh, you hit the ball over the net, good job." I really wanted to learn it because
Gotcha.
I played a lot of sports growing up. I played golf in high school. I played tennis in high school. I played soccer. I played hockey. I played a lot of different sports. And there's a game within a game. There's like the superficial, you see what's going on, and then there's like what's really going on.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so I kind of wanted to really learn what was going on. So I watched some YouTube videos on like the volleyball rotations and how it works, and so it's been a lot of fun to learn that. She's taken it more serious than I thought she would at first. Like, she started in 4th grade, playing like little rec things and stuff like that, and then kind of COVID hit. She didn't really play much, and then she got to high school, and then she joined the school team. And now she's playing, the school team, and she played something they call club. It's like travel, and that's just about to start. Actually, that starts. The first practice is on Thursday.
Geez, that's a weird time of the year to start.
Well, it kind of makes sense. Like, the school's in the fall, right?
Yeah.
So kind of they start like conditioning stuff like right after school gets out, and then they stop. Depending how far you go, her season ended at the end of October. So she's had like a month off now, and now they start December, and then she goes in this for quite a long time. She'll go till June, and then there'll be a little break again, and then she'll play school next year.
Okay, gotcha. I'm sure there was a reason for it. It just seems like a weird time to start around the holidays and stuff. Everybody traveling and everything.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they'll take a break in like December, like Christmas time. There'll be like no practices or anything, and then games start in January, and then they're kind of sporadic. Like, in the beginning, they kind of play a lot, and then they kind of get like a couple times a month after that. So it's not too bad.
Is she thinking about college and scholarships and stuff with it? Is she
I don't really. She's never mentioned it. I don't think so. Like, she plays middle blocker, so that's like generally the tallest person on your team, and she's about 5'10". And if you go look at a Big Ten, say Michigan State, Wayne or Oakland, the D1 middle blocker is about 6'3", 6'4".
Oh, gotcha.
So,
she could be the Spud Webb. She could be the Spud Webb.
Yeah,
volleyball.
Right. I mean, you'd have to have some hops if you're playing at 5'10" to play middle. I mean, like D3 NAIA community, maybe, but I've never really heard her bring that up.
Gotcha.
So, and there's a lot of commitment that I think that goes to that. Like, right now, I mean, there's different levels of travel team too, right? Like, she's playing this year on something called National Select, where we kind of go like Michigan, maybe one in Indiana, one in Ohio, right?
Okay, so
but the national team is like they go to like Florida, these big, Indianapolis, Chicago, Cleveland, like they go these really big tournaments. And I don't know, like she hasn't really expressed an interest in playing in college.
Gotcha.
And which is okay. I mean, you look at the numbers; it's like 2% of the people make it, right?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
and so it's it's been fun. I mean, she's really grown into it, and it's been a lot of fun to watch her develop and watch, her like, I'll watch like say like last year when she was a freshman, they weren't very good, right? They're learning the game, learning how to play, and then you watch the varsity game, which I would encourage anyone if you have the opportunity to go to a live volleyball game, go. It's cooler than you think it is. It's not like playing in your backyard.
Yeah.
And I'd go watch the varsity kids. And I've kind of like had this checklist now in my head of all the stuff that, that I'm kind of like the skill set, right? I'm like, okay, can she block? And she's really taken to it. And like I said, it's been fun to watch.
And my kids never really got into any of the sports at all. my oldest son, he played football in Arizona in kindergarten and first grade, and then we moved up here, and they didn't have football at the school, and he's not really interested in anything else. And my daughter actually played baseball in the boys' little league. They accidentally put her in. Her name's Ariel, so it's not like, there are some males named Ariel. They're usually of
excuse me, sorry.
But, she got put into the boys' league, and I told her, if you don't want to play, it's okay. I mean, but if you want to, and she did, she played, and she got pretty good as the year went on. She was one of the only girls. She was the only girl in the entire league, so that was pretty cool. I was when she was, I don't remember, but my youngest son never any of it. What about your youngest daughter? Is she interested in any of those?
Her and I will play out in the backyard, but she's not really expressed an interest in playing like on the team.
Gotcha.
Like we've never like really pressured them.
Yeah.
Say you got to go play a sport. Like I'm not gonna like make her play. I've encouraged her because I mean, the youngest one is a little bit more athletic than the older one, but she's a lot shorter.
Gotcha.
Like my oldest daughter's always been at the top of the height scale. Like she dialed up the right genetic code somehow between the two of us, and got it became like 5'10".
Yeah, that's funny.
And so yeah, it was it was just funny to but yeah, she's a little bit more of an athlete actually, but I said you should go play in the school team. You should go do this. Like her and I'll play out in the backyard, and she can darn near serve overhand over the net. So she's pretty good, but I'm not going to force her to play.
Yeah, that ruins it for him. I was on the receiving end of being forced to play in a sport that I didn't want to, and it's not good. It's just not. It ruins the sport for the kid.
Right. I mean, and they're not going to try as hard either, right?
No,
because you're forcing them to be there.
Yeah, if it's something they want to do, they're going to be all in. So
right.
Okay, let's shift gears a little bit. Why don't we jump into the YouTube stuff a little bit? Let's talk about.
Okay.
So you used to be somebody who streamed quite a bit, and again, if the mods could please drop Mike's link, you probably have been. I know you guys are awesome at that. Mike has a ton of great content. He has very informative videos. Mike, I always told you this. I always feel like I'm watching Mutual of Omaha. Something about the cadence of your voice and how you do it. It always just makes me feel like when I'm, it's 1966 and I'm watching Mutual of Omaha, and
nice.
It just has that feel.
Has that feel to it, yeah. I've tried to experiment a little bit lately. Like, there's been a few videos where I've been in the video more. Like, I've got some advice back in the day to maybe, where, hey, if I'm in, like someone else told me, like, hey, if I'm in the video, my views go down, right? Watch time will go down or whatever. So, but I've been playing a little bit with it recently. Because I think YouTube has changed a little bit in terms of like I heard somewhere that YouTube is valuing shorts more, and maybe it's trying to compete with TikTok.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I've noticed that it's sort of all the numbers of everyone, I think, has kind of dived down a little bit. And so I've tried to kind of noodling a little bit on changing some things up a little bit.
Gotcha.
Like there's been a few more shorts that have come out recently, for example. Like I've done some more of those. I don't like shorts because I don't feel like I can teach you anything. Like there's no educational value in it.
Yeah.
It's something I can put out there for 12, 13, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess there's some things you can, but it's hard to, I have a hard time with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm just putting something out to put something out.
Yeah. And your style, again, is very educational. I put out a ton of shorts, but most of them aren't even fish related. I only do one fish related short a day. Most of them are clips from like blazing saddles or just some stupid thing. And you don't have to educate anybody in it, whereas you are more of an educator. So I can see how that would be more difficult. You used to live stream a lot more often too, though. And that was even before my time. I think right when I started getting into the whole fish fam and the whole thing, you were maybe just at that point backing away from it.
Yeah, for me, I looked at my analytics, and it kind of came down to is like I kept losing subscribers.
Really?
Yeah, like I was losing subscribers. Like I would go, like I took like a 6 months period of live streams or something, or 3 or 6 months, and I looked at all the numbers, and I'm kind of an analytical person, and I'm like, this don't really work. Like,
Yeah.
but then part of it though too is you lose like the personal connection with the audience a little bit too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like for example, like people know who you are because you're out there and you're out. People don't see me ever because I am not in my videos. And B, like I don't live stream, so no one really. If I walk by someone on the street, a lot of people won't know who I am.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people do just because you are in the aquashellas and stuff have really helped.
Correct. Correct.
Because we see you in those videos quite often. But yeah, I get where you're going. Yeah, you have a much larger channel, but the fact that I do live streams is my bread and butter when I'm doing it. It does make a big difference. People see you, they see your face.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
So I've noodled a little bit with, but the problem now is that I don't think I can pick a specific day and
yeah,
be consistent with it.
gotcha. Well, even pop-ups,
Yeah, and I've noodled with that too a little bit. Like I've done some with Sergeant Tank when he was in Michigan. He and I would do a couple here and there.
gotcha. And I know you were doing some with James, but the schedule's been tough with that. We usually
Yeah,
do the Gulf
and
Stream
kind of a little bit of a teaser. Like I kind of lost the saltwater tank again, and I'm kind of going. I think I'm actually going to turn it back into freshwater. I think the way that the fish room's set up and the way that my schedule and my time and everything kind of happens, I don't really think for now that's going to be an option for me. Like
gotcha.
it adds a level of complexity in that building that if you're not on top of it, it gets away from you.
Okay. I've never kept salt, so
And it's like, and I always kind of cringe a little when James says I'm the expert. It's like I was really good at fish part of saltwater. I was an okay reefer when I had one tank, but it was like, but it was kind of funny. I'm like, in Aquashell, I know a lot of the saltwater guys. I know like Richard Ross. I know a few people from my days in saltwater, and I kind of joked with him, and I kind of laughed like, "You're the expert. I'm not the expert in this." Like, he worked at the what's it called, the aquarium in San Francisco, the Steinhardt Aquarium. Like he's like spawning corals and doing all this other stuff. I'm like, you guys are the experts. I'm like, I bred some clownfish and met the right people.
Yeah. Real quick, I see a couple of people. Whizzle became a member, and so did Lady Metalhead, or she upped it maybe because I thought she was before. Hi, Jess, and hi everybody. And real quick, again, I just want to give that message. I see Ricky came in, and I don't even have the chat up. We're not looking at the chat at all for this first part of the show. The second half, though, we'll take a look at the chat, and we'll get you guys to ask some questions of Mike and jump into it. But I really do appreciate everybody that came in. A lot of people. What are we at? We're at 58 people. There was 60 some a couple minutes ago when I started talking. I scared them off. But thanks everybody for coming in, and thank you for joining membership. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. Okay, back at it here. I opened up stuff that I shouldn't have. Let's put these away. There we go. Okay. Okay, so you're really not really thinking about getting back into live streaming or anything. I mean, there's a lot of people that would like to see you doing it whenever you
might
can.
do some more. I'm kind of noodling on it still. I've been kind of like evaluating a lot of YouTube stuff lately.
Yeah.
In terms of like, how I want to take the channel forward, what I want to do. Maybe there will be some more live streams. I haven't ruled it out. I've kind of thought about that. It's like, how do I like reconnect with a lot of the people? Because I don't watch a lot of fish live streams anymore. I don't know if it's just time isn't worked out, or I think one of the things that hurt me is I moved my office and my video making and TVs and all this stuff out of the fish barn, and it now lives in here.
Oh, gotcha.
In the house. So it's like if I'm working out I did bring a computer out there, so like a little laptop. So I think
yeah. So that time doing the live streams and all that stuff takes you away from being in the fish room and seeing everything, and just makes not much of a separation. I get you.
Yeah. I've been trying to get back into it a little bit more. Like since I have the little laptop out there, I can turn it on and do stuff and things like that.
Speaking of, you said time and stuff. So what do you do for a living? If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, I worked for the last 22 and a half-ish years at automotive OEM. You may have heard of Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler.
Oh,
Yeah. So I do work at I've worked at Chrysler since the year 2000. So will be 23 years in June. I worked mostly in finance, actually. I got to do probably like the coolest job I had when I was in finance was I did business cases for new products and like new vehicles. So like if you have a Ram truck, like a thing called a Ram box, I worked on a business case for that. I got to go to the design studio, the design office meetings and things like that. That was really, got to see the clays and all the stuff that how they build vehicles. And
yeah.
stuff like that. So that was really cool. I somehow took a weird turn in life, and I ended up in purchasing. I was the controller in purchasing, and I had gotten on really well with one of the directors, and he somehow talked me into buying steel, which is a world of its own. And so I did that for a while. And recently, in May, I moved to a new job. I'm now the purchasing program manager for the Grand Wagoneer program.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow. Well, that's
what I
got to
do.
be a decent living,
Not bad.
and you enjoy it. You enjoy numbers, and you enjoy that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's purchasing's a little different. It's been a little bit of a difficult adjustment for me because it's less analytical and more people.
Yeah.
So that's been a little bit of an adjustment for me, but it's not been bad.
Gotcha. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, there's something
Okay.
going around. Like everyone's got this. I think it's this RSV or whatever.
I've had this cough for 5 years, and it's gotten worse this last year. It's scarring on my lungs from RA. But what about let's talk about hobbies. What obviously you don't have a lot of time, you said, and your fish room, your fish house, your fish barn takes up a lot of that. But do you have other stuff that you enjoy doing regularly?
I really like sport. Actually, I've kind of gotten back into watching about sports. I've always liked sports. Like I'll watch like the World Cup we talked about. I kind of like college football too. NFL here is honestly pointless. I talk about the Detroit Lions, and my dad was born in 1950, and when my dad was 8 years old, the Lions won their last championship, and since then they've won one playoff game. And my dad is 73 years old.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Being a Lions fan has got to be probably the most. They are very close to an original team. I think they were the second year the NFL. Maybe I think second year they joined the league. I could be wrong about that, but they're very close to an original team. They have a ton of history, just not a lot of it good since that time.
Right.
You know?
Right. I will watch the Lions. Like I'm not a big NFL fan. Like I won't turn on like the Chiefs and Raiders or whoever, right? And I'll watch the Super Bowl and I'll probably watch the playoffs. But I really like I think I get really drawn to the underdog aspect of it. And I get drawn to the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right. So like I'll watch I love like the playoffs, right? Like for example, hockey. Like I'll watch like the Red Wings playoff hockey, like which hasn't been for a few years now. But like I'll be all over that. But like the regular season, I'm like, I ain't mess with that.
Gotcha.
But one thing I do like is college football. Like so
And you've gotten back into that in the last few years. Like you said
I kind of like waned a little bit.
Yeah.
And then my daughter's volleyball kind of got me into that.
Gotcha. Okay.
I was
going to ask what.
In a weird way. Like I kind of I think when COVID happened too, it sort of died out because they were playing in there was no people there, and I think the teams here Michigan State was good for a while too. So I always enjoyed watching. There's like them, and I went to Michigan, so I'm a Michigan fan, but yeah, it's always been, Michigan was bad for a good period. And so maybe that kind of dragged me out of it too.
Yeah. I mean, when it goes on long enough, although you are still a Lions fan. So
No, I am not a Lions fan. I
okay.
will watch it for entertainment purposes with no expectations.
Yeah. Well, they always have the bright spots. They always have the Megatrons and the Barry Sanders. They've always got somebody to root for. It just never turns into anything.
It's like golf.
It's tough. It is so tough.
I don't know how anyone actually spends their money and buys season tickets to go watch it.
Yeah,
I don't get it. Like everyone knows what's going to happen. Like this year, it's funny. Like this year, they won the 3 games, and now everyone's all excited, right? Maybe it's going to be different because they played Buffalo a lot closer than I thought. But it was funny. It was like I'm still kind of like you're just waiting for them to fail again. What's going to happen.
Yeah,
you know that they're going to do something dumb or something's going to happen and they'll just lose.
Yeah. I'm surprised the stadium's not filled with like gimp suits and stuff because those people just got to enjoy pain.
They just enjoy viewers. I don't get it. Like there's a guy from New York. He grew up kind of near you. He's a pretty prominent radio personality.
Brother Rees?
No, his name is Mike Valeni. And
what is it?
Mike Valeni. Like if you look up Mike Valeni rant one day, and listen to it on YouTube. He grew up in upstate New York, and he went to Michigan State for some reason. Which I don't know. But then he does like the sports talk show in the evenings or the drive, right, 2 to 6, and he did this rant years ago about Michigan State, and he's literally like kind of hoarse like I am. He's literally losing his voice screaming on the radio. But he says this. He's like, because in New York, the press is very hard on their teams.
Yeah.
Here, they're not at all. They're like the Lions could lose every single game and no one cares.
Gotcha.
Like from a media perspective,
yeah.
And so he's always hard. He's like, how do you people do this? he's really like, he's like, what are you people doing? Like, why are you spending money and going to this stuff?
But a true Lions fan that roots for their team, that's just a true fan. That's really what it comes. It's easy to be a fan of a team that wins all the time. And
right.
I do have a fair weather fans who only like the teams that are playing the best that year. But a real Lions fan loves the sport. They love the sport. They have to, because what else are they getting out of it?
Right. It's funny. Mike's. I know I was looking. You're not supposed to look at the chat, but Mike Stanbaugh hit it on the head. He said Valeni is hilarious. Yes, he is. Like, oh, it's funny. He does. It's like actually the Lions wanted to get him fired because he would rip on him. Like the Lions literally wanted him fired, or else they weren't going to air their games on their station anymore.
Because he told the truth.
Because he told the truth. He's like, "What are you people like? Why are you people going to this?"
I always feel sorry for the Lions fans, and I mean, it's not like I'm a Bears fan, so it's not like it's, they've had, at least they've been to the Super Bowl and back before they do have a lot of championships from before the Super Bowl era. There's a ton of championships and there's a lot of history. The Bears have the most players in the Hall of Fame. There's a lot there to root for. So. What about other?
It was actually funny though when I lived in Champaign, when we talked about earlier. It was actually the years when the Bears had the Super Bowl shuffle and went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
so I got my one taste of it when I lived in Illinois.
Super Bowl shuffle was funny. Walter Payton did a good job, and some of the other guys, but McMahon wasn't very good. There was a few of them that were just horrible.
Remember the New England tried to do their repeat one, and it was even worse.
I didn't remember that.
They played New England, and then New England did their own version of they made like a song or something, and it was absolutely horrible.
They slaughtered that team.
They did.
It was just not even, and it had to be only fun for Bears fans only. I'm sure the rest of people watching hated the game, but for Bears fans, it was a lot of fun, especially for long-suffering Bears fans. Because my dad was a Bears fan, and he was 1930 something was when he was born. So, he had been a Bears fan his entire life. He was also a Cubs fan his entire life. And he did get to see them win the World Series right before he passed away the next year. So
that's good.
At least he got to see them.
I enjoyed that. Like I said, I'm thrilled with the underdog part of it, right?
Yeah.
And so, like to see the Red Sox when they won it, I mean, the Red Wings when they did it in '97, they would have been 50 some years since they had won it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Those
I mean,
feel good stories.
those feel good stories, right?
Yeah. What about other types of hobbies too? Do you get into video games? Do you get into reading? Do you get into
I'll mess around with weird games on my phone occasionally, but I really am not a gamer. Like I've never
Okay.
really have been. Like when I
Okay.
was a kid, when we had like the Nintendo, I played like sports games. Like I remember I played this soccer game called Goal on Nintendo. Like, you played like this little World Cup, and I'll play like on Mario Kart with my daughter upstairs on the Wii and stuff like that. But I won't
Sure.
like I'm not gonna sit down and do like World of Warcraft, like
Yeah.
go and like make characters and do stuff and get wizards and make all like I'm like no, we're like now if you look like the PS5 controllers and stuff, right? There's like 16 buttons. I'm like no, I want my old school Nintendo, two buttons and a
Yeah.
little cross shaped thing, and I'm good.
Or the Atari controller, where it was just a
The
square
little
with one
joystick.
red button in the thing. Those
Right.
things will go through a stucco wall, though. My dad threw one, and it stuck in the wall. The base of it went into the wall. He was not a very good. He hated to lose and to win too. He was a horrible winner. But any other types of hobbies? Anything else you really get into?
Not really. That's kind of what time
Yeah.
allows, really, between everything else. I mean, my
Yeah.
daughter's volleyball has kind of become a hobby in a way. Just, between the games and kind of I follow some people like a volleyball coach on TikTok. It's kind of entertaining to listen to him. He actually will mic himself up during games, and he'll play like the little clips on TikTok. It's really kind of he'll be like yelling at referees and stuff like that. And he'll have it while mic'd up. Kind of entertaining.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, you said earlier that there was a good story about going to Michigan State, right?
Or Michigan, yep.
Michigan. Sorry.
Yep. So it's funny, like I mentioned a little earlier. I played golf in high school. We weren't very good, but I mean, I could shoot. I could shoot probably between 90 and 100 for 18 holes. Not terrible, but not good either. But anyways, I caddied at the local country club, and I somehow meandered my way into something called the Evans Scholarship, which is basically a full ride scholarship to. There's about 5 or 6 different, or no, there's about 12 different universities in the U.S. where they'll give you a scholarship if you have good grades and you were a golf caddy for 2 years. So I ended up getting my college paid for by being a golf caddy.
Nice.
So
That's beautiful.
I literally walked into this thing. I had to go to like the country club in Detroit and do like an interview. What they don't tell you then is like you basically have the scholarship when you go to that interview, as long as you don't like are a jerk, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not like Bill Murray from Caddyshack.
Right.
Now, does that movie have a special place for you at all because you were a caddy for a while?
a little bit. Like I wasn't a great caddy. Like I didn't caddy for like the really big wig guys or anything like that at the country club. But some of that I do think is true, like of the movie. And it was funny in high school. I actually played against the kids at the country club one year in a golf match, one tournament. It was kind of funny. Our coach was like, "Don't try to hit with them," and I'm like, okay.
Well, that's pretty cool, though. I'm glad that they have that. Now, would you have had the means to go to college without that scholarship? Would you have been able? Or would it have been very difficult?
I would have figured it out.
Okay.
I'll put it to you that way. It may not have been Michigan, because actually the funniest part about that is I actually got rejected from Michigan. Michigan's fairly, not bragging or complaining, but Michigan's pretty tough to get into. And so I actually had gotten rejected from Michigan, and then Evan Scholars came and said, "You're going to Michigan." And I'm like, my dad called him and it was like, "What do you mean?" He got rejected. And a few weeks later, the acceptance letter and the little big envelope came with all the stuff in it. And sure enough, once you're paid for it, I guess they don't care as much.
I guess not.
So I survived. It was academically, it was tough. I mean, I wasn't prepared for it, but we figured it out and made it through. So,
And what did you major in college? Too?
I majored in economics.
Oh, okay.
So I wanted to do something that I could apply after I graduated. And so I did
Yeah.
economics, and like the business school at Michigan is extremely difficult to get into. Like you've got people staying up all night for like accounting 101. You get those kind of people who are like that hardcore, who will like literally stay up, all hours of the night. You see them in the coffee shops and wherever else. So it gets really competitive for the business school. So I kind of was like, let's take it down a notch. And
Well, it seemed to have worked out for you because you landed pretty well and seemed like
yep,
you've got a pretty good life.
yeah, not bad. Like I really can't complain.
Okay, we're about an hour into it. Is there anything that you'd like to tell us that we didn't touch on? We talked about family and stuff. We talked about work.
I think we hit pretty much all of it. I'm trying to think of any more interesting story. I mean, there's always stories out there, but yeah.
And how are you on time too? Because
as long as my voice holds out, we can go as long as you want.
Okay, don't push yourself. As soon as you feel like you've had enough, just let me know. We'll open it up to the chat here.
It's been kind of the same, honestly.
Okay.
So I think we're doing okay.
Okay. And what else did I want to say? Is there anything channel wise that you want to tell everybody or promote or anything like that you want to talk about? Anything you got coming up or any,
Not really. It's been kind of just a lot of like care guides. Here's what's going on in the fish room. I am doing a video on how to get shell dwellers out of their shells. I did finally I didn't really perfect it. I just, I heard someone else's idea and I kind of just did it when I went to the last auction. And so I'm going to do a video on that. It actually would be done by now if I had a voice for the last week, but I don't. So
yeah,
I tried doing it the other day and I literally got frustrated and stopped voicing it over. I'm like, this isn't going to work.
Well, maybe it'd be good if you could be like, hey, everybody, maybe it'd add a different,
different demographic.
Okay, so now's a good time. We'll go ahead and open it up to the chat. And again, thank you so much. There's 65 people still here. Thanks every one of you for coming in, hanging out with us, and learning more about Mike. We're going to get some more questions for Mike. If there was something that somebody asked earlier, obviously I did not see it. Please, and I think I got all the membership things and everything like that too. So, hi Patty, I see Patty in there. Let's see. Eric Wyrock is the first one I see. What's up, Eric? And Eric has been asking the same question now for probably about a year. And he'd like to know what your favorite sandwich is. That's his main question.
All right. I see his question. So
okay.
My favorite sandwich, I don't have like a favorite, but I'll say my favorite, my go-to like sandwich is going to be the Subway spicy Italian double meat 6-inch on wheat. And then he asked about the swap on Sunday. I am not sure if I'll be there yet or not. I haven't decided.
So you can obviously see the chat just fine. I'll let you go ahead and just grab them. Like Dolbeck is next. He says your favorite dessert. Feel free if I miss one or something. Feel free to answer any ones that you like too.
Favorite dessert, honestly, it's kind of like just chocolate, some sort of ice cream. Like say chocolate ice cream. There's a chocolate Boost Tracks that I really like too. It's like chocolate with little like peanut butter cups and stuff like that in it.
Yeah, that is good. I like that one too. I wonder what kind we have. We have ice cream out there. Now I want some. And then we jump down to Lady Metalhead. She says, if you could change one thing about the way you keep fish, what would it be? That's a good one, Jess.
I would actually keep less of them. I sort of went for a while like crazy. There was an auction where I kept buying fish because they were cheap, and the barn got a little bit out of control. But now that it's there, I'm too lazy and don't want to change it. So you know what I mean? Like it's more work to get rid of it than just to keep it.
Yeah.
So
now, are you thinking about that for the future though? Is sort of you said that before.
Yeah, like as the kids go to college and stuff. I mean, it is expensive to have a fish barn.
Yeah.
And so I think at some point it will naturally downsize itself a little bit.
Gotcha. Maybe down to just one floor.
I mean, at one point it was almost 100 tanks. Almost.
Yeah.
Sorry, almost.
B Wizzle's next up, and he says, "Do you like Pokemon? And if you do you have a favorite?"
I have never played Pokemon. I wouldn't know the first thing about it. So,
yeah.
You pick whatever one.
I don't know much about it either. I mean, I've watched the TV show a few times with the kids, and I know they play it, and that's about it. Let's see. Mountain Greenery, what's up? It jumped on me. Another one. Mountain Greenery's been asking this one quite often too, and I love that. So many people have questions that they've been asking. Some people January will be 2 years that we've been doing the Focus On thing. So some people like Myrtle have been asking that question for 2 years now, and I just absolutely love it. It's become history. So if you could live in any of your aquariums, which one would you choose?
If I could live in any, it would probably be, I don't know. That's a good question. I guess it would be maybe one of my Cyberchromis tanks because I have good-looking neighbors. Because they're all pretty good-looking fish. I guess that would be the one.
Gotcha. That is a good question. I like that question because it makes you think of it from the fish perspective, so to speak. And there's our buddy Alishan. What's your rarest fish that you have in the barn?
I saw that come through a little bit earlier. I was thinking about that. Probably the Xiphophorus andersi. I picked that up at the ALA this year, and I literally had never seen it before. So
and you have a video on that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a video on like basically all the fish I got from the ALA, and then I actually did a follow-up that said what happened to all of them.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yep.
And then so that one, I think that one's probably it's a rare platy species, and I've never seen it.
Okay. Next is from George. George, Mexicali wants to know your favorite live bear.
I'd have to say the Gudaids, just because they're pretty hardy. They are hard to come by, some of them, but most of them are fairly easy to keep. There's a few that are out there that aren't, but I would really say the Gudaids. I'm just the Gudaids because one, they need our help first of all, and you don't need a heater for them. You can keep them in your basement; they'll do just fine. They're easy to breed. Some of them are not the prettiest fish in the world, but they do have some interesting behaviors. So I would say Gudaids.
And that's a great answer. I can't wait for mine to breed. The ones I got from Alishan, they did turn a corner. They're looking great. I did a quickie, a short on them today. They're really starting to color up real nice. The males are, and the females have just such a beautiful pepper-like color on the sides, and they're just very personable too. Because, like, I have just some feeder fish. They're most in this tank right here are rosy fathead minnows. There's also a couple of bluegills in there, but those are mostly minnows in there that are. I went to the bait store and I bought them 2 years ago, and they're cool fish, but they startle so easy. These guys, that's where the Gudaids are. I go up to that tank and they all just come right up to the front. I put my finger up there and they all zoom to it. I put my hand in it. They just want to know what you're doing. They want to know everything about you. They're nosy as hell. Love them. So that's a great answer.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Speaking of that, since we're talking about kind of like wild fish, like one of the funniest things about wild platies is a lot of times people don't think about this because the store-bought ones don't really do this. But a lot of the wild platies will actually, kind of like cichlids, have a dominant male. And so you'll see them fight and jostle. I've seen some of the Gudaids do it too. There's a short on the channel of Xenotoca variata where the two males are literally doing this the whole time.
Yeah.
So people think of live bears as these peaceful, quiet little fish, but a lot of them do have some personality. I mean, not aggression like a cichlid, but they do have some aggression as well.
Yeah.
And some hierarchy to them.
I definitely have seen that. I don't know that they've worked it out yet, which one is. There's only two males in there right now, but I've definitely seen them going back and forth. fighting, I guess, with each other. Next up is from Nano Aquarium Guy. Wants to know what your favorite genre of entertainment is. So books, TV shows, movies. Are you into fantasy, swords and sorcery?
Sports, really sports. I'm really.
Sports.
It's like
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty straightforward. It's really. I do like history. That's one thing we've not really covered. I really do like watching a lot of like the old school History Channel kind of stuff. Not the stuff now, like not like ice road truckers and stuff like that, but like the old
Yeah.
school like documentary
Aliens.
style stuff.
Okay.
So I would say like history. Um, yeah, like history, and sports are kind of the things I kind of gravitate towards.
Okay, and again, I maybe I jumped some of the questions because I am looking for the at Rico stand, so it pops out at me, guys. So if I've missed your question, I'm down to Oinky. Hi, Oinky. I'm down to her question. So if you asked it before, I obviously missed it, and please ask it again for me and do the at Rico stand so it pops out. She says hugs to you. Question for you both: do you have a favorite filtration, and if so, why? Why that type? You can go ahead. What?
All right, I would say sponge filter because it's simple,
Yeah.
it's easy to maintain, and you don't. It's very cost effective to run.
Yeah, all great. I do have sponge filters in every tank, and even if they have a hang on back, I still have a sponge filter in there too. And I would say, yeah, that's probably my favorite as well. I bought a canister filter to try them out. I have hang on backs. I've never done sumps, so there's a lot that I haven't tried. I haven't done like the Mattern type stuff.
The
What's
mat
it called?
filter, the
Yeah,
mat, the hell,
yeah.
yeah.
I've never tried any of those. So there's a lot that I haven't tried. But I would say sponge filters are my favorite too, for the reasons that Mike outlined. Let's see. So scrolling down, I'm down to there's Keith KJE. What's up? And you had to use that name. You had to use their scientific name. What is that? Sharakandan El Taboso?
It's a Cracodon ladder, not lateralis.
Cracodon?
It's
That's how you
Cracodon,
call
Cracodon audax altibo. So it's the black Prince Gadaean.
it?
I have a pair of those, and they've never spawned for me. For whatever reason, the fish from the genus Cracodon I have struggled mightily with. I actually did have Cracodon lateralis, but somehow I ended up with three males. I had them for like 3 years, and somehow I ended up with three males, and I ended up taking them to the last auction. I'm like, they're taking up tank space. I've struggled with these fish. They're kind of hard to find.
Is that where you? Oh, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Keep going.
No problem. And I struggle with the audax too. Like I've had a pair of them in a 20-gallon tank. One of my strategies a lot of times if I have fish that don't breed is I'll buy more of them, but I've not really seen them around enough to find them again.
Oh, gotcha. And what was I going to ask? Oh, is that where you get rid of most of your fish? Then is that you take them to the auctions?
Yeah, I'll take them to the auction.
And which auctions do you normally go to? What's the closest ones to you, or which one?
I'm actually on the board of our club, but it's
Okay.
it is the Motor City Aquarium Society. So we have 2 auctions a year. So I'll take fish that a lot of them it's fry. A lot of I'll take like this time I took a lot of endlers because I have a lot of endlers that just spawned. I'll take fry of various fish, but sometimes if I do want to get rid of if I want to get rid of something for some reason, that's where it'll go.
Okay. Because you are on the board, Scotty the Fish Freak, who is also, he's the on the board he's the chairperson of the board for the Keystone Clash, but he's also, I think did he just become president of his own club? I'm not sure. Anyways, he does a live stream on Saturdays, Saturday afternoons at I think it's 7 p.m. Eastern time, where he likes to talk to people like yourself a lot about fish clubs. You guys would be a good fit. So
okay, yeah, for sure. Like I said, I don't mind going on stream with anyone. So
he'd be perfect because you're exactly the type of people he likes to talk to. So Scotty, if you're in here, there you go, buddy. Okay, M&C is where. Go ahead.
Yeah, the fish club is very interesting. It's been around since the 1960s. and there's been a lot. Actually, one of the original founding members is still around. It's still there. So it's
That's
kind of
cool.
gotten a little bit long in the. I'm gonna get in trouble, but it's okay. A little bit long in the tooth. So it
Yeah.
needs ours needs a little youth. It's starting to happen a little bit now, but you know, it would be nice to see more participation.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I think a lot of fish clubs are in that boat. I think that the BCAS there in Pennsylvania is very lucky. They've got a lot of younger people that are on the board and very involved. But I think a lot of the fish clubs, my own, the CNYAS is like that. They're very sort of stodgy, and yeah. Okay, next up is MNC with does Mike have any of the large or rare sailfin mollies?
I've got one group of them. Um, they're I've got a couple groups actually. I've got some just normal ones like the Velifera. I think they're the Greg Sage line of those, and I do have some like platinum sailfin mollies as well. They haven't grown out yet, but we're still working on it.
And Keith wants you to know that there's a fat kid in New York who keeps a lot of Gudeians.
I am very much aware of Keith. I may not say it a lot, but I am very aware of. I think I may have even purchased from him at one point.
I think Keith,
Not
that's
forbid.
his main focus. I think is Gudeians, right?
Yeah, I think actually I bought from him something else. I think it was Tiger Teddies or something like that back in the day.
Let's see. Scrolling down. Next one I see is Glassbox Swimmers. Hello. Do you believe in the paranormal? And if so, do you have any paranormal stories?
I'll put it to you this way: I don't, I don't believe in it because I haven't seen it. Right? Like
So you believe that there could be
the,
some truth to some of the stuff,
there could
but
be
because you've
truth.
never experienced it.
Correct. Like I can't prove that it is or isn't.
Yeah.
There's no evidence. I've not seen any evidence personally that says, okay, you know, like nothing crazy has happened around here in the house to say there's paranormal activities.
Yeah. You're looking for scientific proof too, right? Then.
Right. I mean, there's some sort of some sort of evidence. It's like,
Yeah.
something crazy happened, or you know what I mean. Like,
And Patty says, do you have any other pets?
we do actually. We have 3 cats. One is 14. I Lucky is 5, and Cleo, who's named Baby T, is 2. And then my daughter has two. My oldest daughter has 2 guinea pigs, Milo and Noah. And then we have a rabbit called Carrot, which we found running around the neighborhood. Someone had let it loose, and the kids found it. We ended up keeping it.
Excuse me. Oh, I see Scotty. I just happened to see his comment there. He's president of the ACLC and vice president of BCAS. President and vice president. So there you go, Scotty, though. But yeah, this guy would be good to be on your show, I think. You guys could talk about, fishy club stuff. Let's see. So, scrolling down. The next one I see is we got Patty there. Brookley Bell, hi. And this is Brookley's question that she asks quite often. Do you have any strange, physical traits? Is there any, do you have a trick knee, or can you wiggle your ears, or anything like that? Pop your eyeball. Any of those kind of
I
things.
will say I have no longer possess an ACL. I will say that.
Yeah, at all.
I guess that's the strangest body trick or whatever. I did that playing soccer, and it was one of the dumbest things that ever happened. So, like literally 2 seconds before halftime, I went to cut and I hit the ground harder than I've ever hit the ground before, and spent 6 months of recovery. And I really didn't want to have another surgery because what happened is my leg actually spasmed and it actually bent like this, and they literally had to pry it and do electric shock treatments and stuff to it to get it back straight again.
Jesus.
And after that, it was already 6 months later, and I don't really want to have another surgery. And so I played the rest of my soccer career wearing a brace, and kind of just roll around without an ACL anymore.
Yeah. Ouch. I stubbed
Actually,
my
that
toe
didn't
once.
hurt. That didn't hurt as bad as dislocating my shoulder. Those are the two.
Really? You would think that the shoulder would not be near as bad.
No, dislocating your shoulder was the most horrible, death-defying pain I've ever felt.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
knew
literally,
somebody who
it was down to about here. You could see the knob of my the the bone down to here. And honest to God, it was the worst thing ever. I'm surprised I didn't pass out. Honestly,
I had a friend who would he dislocated his shoulder all the time, and he would just slam himself into a wall and pop it back into place.
the first time is the worst. Like I had that
Yeah.
too, and I haven't done it in a long time. Thankfully, I think I got old and stiff, and I don't think it does it anymore. Thankfully,
Gotcha.
but no, I used to all the time too. But when the first time I did it, oh dear God, no, I was literally pound. They made us do IM wrestling my freshman year in college, and I wrestled this dude who knew what he was doing, and I decided that I was going to be the hero, and I shot his legs, and I felt this pull in my arm, and so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to stop. This is stupid. I'm going to stop now. And I let him pin me. I told him, like, you go ahead and pin me. I'm like, I don't care. And so I get up to shake his hand, and all of a sudden my arm just goes, "Bloop." And it was the most excruciating pain ever. And they took me to another guy took me to the University of Michigan hospital. And now I was like 18 years old, right? And I really didn't know about health insurance and any of this stuff. I just rolled into the ER at University of Michigan hospital. I apparently had given him like the wrong insurance card. So my dad had to spend like 6 months figuring it all back out after the fact. But yeah, that was not fun. Like, that's where they bring in the people. Like, if you've really messed up, like if they're bringing you on like helicopters and stuff like that. And they brought some poor lady in on the helicopter, and I'm like, I'm not, I'm 18. I'm not ready for this yet.
You saw stuff you didn't want to see.
I didn't see stuff, but I heard stuff that I didn't want to hear. Let's put it that way. I'm like, just you have one job, and this sounds really mean and very unempathetic, and I apologize in advance. But 18-year-old me was like, you have one job. Your job is to not die while I'm here. I'm not ready for that. I know you're really messed up right now. You could hear they left me and my poor arm sitting there at the table, which rightfully so.
Yeah.
And they went and took care of her. But I'm sitting there. I'm like, please do no. Like, I'm not mentally ready for this yet.
Yeah, hospitals aren't fun. Let's see. Big Cat wants to know, what about aliens? Do you believe in aliens?
I'm open-minded, but I need to see evidence.
Yeah. So. I got to think, just how large the universe is. I just got to imagine that, the galaxies, and I just got to imagine that there are somewheres. There's got to be other life out there. And hopefully it's intelligent, unlike our planet. But question for you both. Your favorite aquatic plant, and that's from our friend Oinky.
It kind of depends. It kind of changes right now. The plant of and I use plants as much as function as form. So right now I'm kind of liking hornwort. I know a lot of people don't like hornwort, but it provides it grows quickly, and it provides a lot of places for fry to hide. So.
Yeah. I like it because I can pull it right out of the bay, and I like the price.
Yeah.
It's free, so I like that part of it. I would say my favorite is probably Alodia, Anacris. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that is my favorite. I think I've answered that before too, but partially because it was the only plant I ever saw when I was a kid and had fish. I don't know. I'm sure there was other fish or other plants at the time, but never really saw any of those. That's the only one I ever saw. And I actually had a little snippet of it in one of my tanks, and I thought it was the coolest thing to have plants. And then when I came back to fish keeping, I saw it, and I instantly remembered it. And it does really well in my water. I can plant it. I can let it float. I just absolutely love it. I think it's a beautiful plant, and it just, to me, it says aquarium. It's a big part of what keeping an aquarium is to me. So that's why I like it.
Fortunately, we can't have that in Michigan. It's
one of your ones that Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Scrolling down, looking for the next Rico stand. I'm at the bottom. Ageria najas. Is that the type of the najas? Isn't that the? I
I
probably
think it's
pronounced
guppy
that.
grass.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's the guppy grass. And I do have. I do. I didn't think Elodia was illegal in New York. I have a ton of it, and I bought some of it from our local fish store. Even.
That's interesting. They normally should know.
Oh, he's saying that it's a small leaf, which is still legal.
Oh, okay.
And I'm at the bottom of the chat, so if we have any more questions, now's a good time. Let's talk about what's coming up. Let's see next week. So today was going to be Bunny Viper, and unfortunately, I had to cancel last week on Mike. So I only had Mike and Ivy scheduled, so I just bumped Ivy back 1 week. But Ivy will be next week, Bunny Viper next week, and then I still have some people to schedule. But at the top of the screen up there in the middle is my email address, and if you would like to be on the Focus On, please shoot me an email. Let me know. Right now, I have roughly 10 people. Actually, besides, I have about 8 actually. So I definitely could use more people. If you have previously sent me an email, like months and months ago, send me another one. Because I wiped the list out. There would have been a lot of people that have been on that list forever. So I just wiped it out and started from scratch. Please send me another email, and we'll get you signed up. And there's no requirements, as long as you're here, you're a part of the Fish Fam. I want to interview you. You don't have to have a big channel, small channel. It doesn't matter. You could have no subscribers at all. It doesn't matter. I'm still interested in interviewing you. So send me an email.
Go ahead. I'll grab Bunny Viper's question real quick.
Yeah.
What are my favorite fish that I keep? I really kind of like live bears. Like a lot of people really kind of know me for live bears. But the one that people kind of don't really know a lot about is the Lake Tanganyika cichlids. I've got right now 3 different species of Tropheus, as well as 3 different groups of Cyprochromis as well, plus some other like shell dwellers and things like that. So that's the kind of like the hidden gem per se.
Gotcha. Shelby is waiting for her invite. Yeah, she does need to. Have her send me another email. Grant, send me, because I know Shelby's definitely on the list, or she's on my personal list. I want to interview Shelby, but just have her send me an email, just so we can get her on the list, the official list. And at that, I think we're it.
Okay, sounds good.
I think we're at the bottom.
Cool.
Mike, thanks so much again. Was there anything else that we didn't touch on that you want to talk about?
I think we hit pretty much everything. I think we hit the family stuff. We hit kind of like what I do for a living. So I think we've pretty much hit everything. Okay.
Well, thank you guys for watching. Again, there's still 63 people in. I appreciate it. There's still a lot of great streams tonight. You've got Scruffy City. You've got Bentley. I'm not sure if Wizzle and Hippie John are going tonight. But you can go look at fishfam.link and see who else is coming up. A lot of good streams still tonight. And we will see you guys when we see you.
All right. See you guys later.
See ya. I'm hitting buttons now.